Greetings, 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 everyone. Just within a few seconds. Hope everyone is doing good. If you're watching already, please like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel already, share, comment. Okay. Hope everyone is doing good. So once again, greetings, African family. For those who don't know, the channel is solely for African people. And this is a place where we can discuss issues and find solution as well. And as you know, the theme of today is self-preservation. So please, brothers and sisters, comment where you're from, where you're streaming the live from, so that we can, address our issues and find solution as well. So once again, peace, peace, peace. Greetings, my African people. This is your brother Shaka. So I'm going to share a quick video that I know most people have watched because this video went viral on a few social media platforms. So bear with me. I'm going to share the video.
Since we met you people 500 years ago, look at us. We've given everything. You are still taking. It's true. I mean, where will the whole Western world be be without Africa? Our cocoa, our timber, our gold, our diamonds, our platinum, our whatever. Everything you are is us. I am not saying it, it's a fact. And in return for all of this, what have we got? Nothing. Anti-personnel indoctrination against ourselves. If you go and cook your horrible diseases like AIDS, you say it is us. You brought us tuberculosis. We didn't have this big cough until white people came here. In exchange for Africa giving Europe 500 solid years of our people, I mean, not Europe, the Western world, of our human beings to work your canes, to dig your gold, to take in gold itself, diamond, I mean, fish, peanuts, palm oil, everything. In exchange for that, we have got nothing. Nothing. And you know it. Nothing. And you look upon, white folks look upon us like monkeys. It is true. It's in your literature. Hey, some of your best thinkers have said this about us. Have you heard of all these Germans? Have you heard?
Okay.
Yes. They said Lord Burton, yes. People like that. They said we don't even have the brain of animals. That's what we've got from you people.
But don't you think that this is over now?
Over where? Is it over? Who said that AIDS came from the green monkey? Is it over? Is it over?
Well, if this is your impression, do you think that you can ever forgive us?
It's not a question of forgiveness. I have nothing against you. My point is that you did and you are doing for your survival what is necessary. we can't blame you for that. The fact that we didn't do enough for our own survival, and we are still not doing enough for our survival, that is not your problem. You know, even everybody that God has created has a sense of survival. And until if we don't develop it, we can't blame white people. You came here because you needed these things. You took gunpowder from the Chinese. You needed them to shoot people. I think that for me and members of my family, Elmina Castle has got a very, very special significance because they tortured my father's father, my real grandfather, to death there by the colonial government. So for me, I mean, when people like me talk about colonization, neo-colonization, it's not just because one is being intellectually smart. I mean, we have personal uh, touches with it. I mean, I can.
Peace, 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 family. Sorry for the quality of the video. I think I had a connection issue. But anyway, so in this video, as we all heard from the elder, we have to do something for our survival. And what are the things? Because today, I really want to ask a question because I'm getting hopeless when it comes to our race. So I want to know, what do you guys think that we are good at? What type of skills that we do have as a race that we can, try to work on so that I will say sector or field will be able to recruit people, train people, and generate funds. What type of skills do we have as Black people? That's one question. I don't know if anybody has, and again, everybody's invited, to join the live. So I'm just going to quickly, you know, put the link in the chat. And yeah, for anybody who want to join the live, please do so. Please do so. We're here to discuss race issues. We're here to discuss solutions. We're here to understand who we are, what's happening to us. A mighty great race, a great people who once were civilization builders are now the lowest of the lowest of the lowest. What's really happening to the race? So once again, family, anybody's welcome to join. First off, I think we have to identify our strength as a race, our strength, and then our weaknesses. What are some of the weaknesses that we have as a race? We have to be able to address those issues without issues, if I can say so. So for you guys, please comment, or anybody can join. Like I said, the link is in the description boxes and also on the chat, in the chat, sorry. So the what are some of our weaknesses, for instance? Anyone? Or maybe let's start with strength. What are some of our strengths as a race of Black people, as the mighty race, like how Garvey used to call us? So, what are some of the strengths that we have as a race of, or as a group of people? Anybody? No. So I'm just gonna say something quickly. Hey, peace, brother Manasa. So quickly, I just want to repeat the question because I have one of my good brothers who just came in. So, brother, as you know, the title of the okay. So we are having some comments. So quick. So the title of this live streaming is self-preservation. The end goal is to understand who we are, is to really pinpoint some of the issues that we have within the race without pointing fingers to other races or the system. right? So, what are some of the strengths that we have as a race? What are some of the weaknesses that we do have as a race? And I think if we are able to identify some of those issues, we should be able to find solutions. And if we are also able to identify some of our strengths, we should be able to implement or create structures that will help the next generation. Because again, we are the only group of people unable to do things for ourselves. So, what are we doing? Okay, hold on a second. Skills. If you have many skills, but we put our energy of those skills on. Okay, so here's okay. That's that's a good question. And again, I would like people to, if we can at least give two or three skills, set of skills that we have. Like generally, what do we have as skills, for instance, right? Those are the things that I think we have to identify and see how we can create structures so that we are not ending up working for other folks, basically, right? Okay, so I think there's a good comment here. Okay, okay. I heard. I'm reading weaknesses. Too much ego, and truly and really, this is one of the biggest things that I've been talking about on my Instagram page, the New Blackstone Line. Yes, we have too much ego and pride. It's very difficult, and correct me if I'm wrong, family. It's very difficult to hold our people accountable, right? So it's difficult to even work within an organization with black people. So that's a very great, I think, point that the sister Adwa put there. Lack of accountability. Yeah. So that goes back to, hold on a quick second. Uh, okay. So there's a brother saying that I'm sure it's a brother. One of our strengths is that we are good at starting businesses, but the weakness is that we start businesses for things that aren't making us self-sufficient, which is true. Again, which is true because I'm just gonna, cite Dr. Amos and take one specific location, geographical location, America, for instance, North America. I will say North America, Canada included. When you look at the fruits and vegetable stores, they are owned by who? Korean, Chinese, and whoever, right? So everybody eats on a daily basis. You have to eat. So now we are not even able to supply, to have a food supplying system, or even having our people being owners of those grocery stores, right? So that's a big issue. That's a big issue. Again, I don't think we want to build things gradually. We want to skip steps. We really want to skip steps. But again, some of the vital things that a nation need, we're not able to provide it. We're not even able to distribute those things, right? So we've been comfortable and self-serving. I think there is some type of, I would say, inertia, you know, like we're into some type of, I don't know, amnesia, like we can't even think for ourselves, right? It's very difficult again because in this time and age with internet, we don't have tools to even attack or counterattack those type of information they've been putting on our children. So what are the things really we can do with the internet, for instance? What are the things that we can do? We really have to be thinking on a daily basis. What are some of the weaknesses? And of course, we have weaknesses as a race of people, and then we have personal or individual weaknesses. What can we do again to be able to create something so that within 30 years we can be at the same table negotiating instead of waiting for everybody to talk or speak and then make decision for us. So what can we do? Again, we spoke about skills. a brother spoke about creating businesses. I want to go back to creating businesses because, again, when we talk about Black businesses, I want to ask a question. Do you think the Black businesses that you know are really giving back the money to the community? Do you think that the Black businesses that we speak about so highly have a good customer service ethic? Those are things that we have to address because I see so many complaints, and of course, a lot of people, they meant well. They often say, we shouldn't be complaining about Black businesses, but at least we have to be giving them feedbacks. If the person that you're, I will say, taking your business to is not even smiling at you, is not even, asking you the right question, the person just want to take his money or her money and then tell you bye, it's going to be difficult for you to keep going to that store, even if it's your Black brother or Black sister who's the owner of that store, right? So let me just okay. So there's a comment from Brother Manasseh. He's talking about a strength he noticed we have is that we do know how to team up together when it comes to parties and festivities, which is okay. Okay, well, brother, this is a strength. Even though it's funny, it's a strength. I know what you mean exactly. Yes. So maybe should we utilize entertainment to educate people? But my fear, my concern with entertainment is that at the end of the day, you see it just as entertainment, right? You're enraged, you're outraged because something happened, and then when everything is done on the screen, you go back to your regular life. So how can we use that strength of organizing festivities, whatever we do, and people come? Now, how can we utilize that strength to plant some seeds or cultivate something within the people's heart, mind, and spirits, right? So the other week, he mentioned, Brother Manasseh mentioned one of our weaknesses is that we can't organize and operate when things get serious. That brings me back to one of Marcus Garvey's quotes. One of the biggest weapons used against the Negro is disorganization. We are not able to be organized and stay organized, right? So, okay, so to buy Black effort had strict check and balances. Carlos Cook tried to learn from Garvey's mistakes. Okay, that's a very great comment. I think I made a post or a video about this. How can we learn from the past mistakes, like mistakes that elders have made, mistakes that ancestors have made? How can we learn from those mistakes so that we don't repeat the same thing? Because at the end of the day, we are not really progressing. So, brother Kofi, brother Manasseh, I'm going to put the link, uh, the videos. Sorry, bear with me. I'm not too familiar with these whole YouTube features and whatnot. So I put the link. If you click on the link, it will take you out of the YouTube app so that you can join the live. And yes, brother Kofi and brother Manasseh, you guys are some bright brothers, so I would definitely like you to come join the live and give your insight or your input. I would definitely love to hear what you have to say, because sometimes the information get missed in the translation, like we miss the content or the main thing when people are typing, because again, I was actually studying a topic with some scientists in which they were saying, like, the word, it's difficult even to discuss with intellectuals or high educated or highly educated folks, because the issue is that those people, what they do is they will take one word within a sentence, and we start making up things, taking one word out of context, and then you have a different whole story there. So one of the scientists was saying what he's trying to do is, whenever he explains something with to philosophers or professors at the university, what he does is he tries it, which is not easy. Every sentence, he tried to make every sentence with 5 to 6 words, not more. every sentence so that you don't take one word out of context and then take a tangent. So again, welcome, brother Manasseh.
Hey, brother, how we doing?
Good, 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 good. Nice to see you here, brother. So, brother, you were talking about one of the weaknesses that we have as a race of people, which is being
Yeah.
unable to organize and get things structured. Like, can you, elaborate a bit more? And after, giving us the context, what else? Because also you provided a solution, but again, I really want people to understand those things so that we can, try to implement something, right, in real life. So,
Right.
strengths, weaknesses, and what can we do?
So, when highlighting the when highlighting the whole issue with organization, it seems like when it comes to building building anything, a lot of people, I don't even want to say they get cold feet. Really, it's more so people want instant gratification. They want things to work right away. They want things to happen right now, and I think the solution would be I think another issue is like people try to start too big. You know, black people want to be, you know, I talk to a lot of black people sometimes. Everybody wants to be the next Jeff Bezos. Everybody wants to be the next Elon Musk and stuff like that. It doesn't happen over, you know, it there's more to life than being the richest person, but that's a different type for a different time. But bottom line, you're not going to create a Tesla, Amazon, SpaceX, whatever, what have you, in a year's time. It doesn't happen like that. And I think sometimes we as black people, we put high expectations and put the most minimal effort into it. And a solution to that, I think we have to start little and work our way up the ladder to get to where we want to get to. Because I feel like a big issue is we aim so high not even knowing how to even get there. So then by the time we don't even get halfway there or even a quarter of the way there, most of us just give up and just say, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. Which why so many organizations fail. Where I work with a lot of people. That's why a lot of them backed out. A lot of them don't want to do anything. A lot of them, aren't really serious. So yeah, that's
So,
that's one point. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I just want to clarify something. So, something, because you said a lot of things but again, at the end of this live, I want people to go home with something. So, brothers and sisters, if you have been following me on Instagram, I often talk about taking notes. So, if you have a pen and a paper, take few notes. But anyways, let me go back to what Brother Manasseh was saying was one of the issues we have is the lack of seriousness, right? And
Yeah.
understanding what are the steps to maybe create certain things that will take us to the next level. We want to go to the next level without even identifying the steps, the pros and cons, right.
Hmm.
If Am I summarizing what you said properly, brother?
Yeah.
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 Is there anything else you want to add to what we're saying?
Uh, I'm trying to break down the question because
You know
actually,
what,
like,
let me
ha-
brother let me let brother Kofi speak, and then I can give you the mic. Is that okay?
right? Yeah.
Welcome, brother Kofi.
I guess he said 1 minute. I guess he's walking somewhere.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. So, one of the things Brother Manasseh mentioned was the lack of seriousness and really having, I think, people understanding the task, what it takes to accomplish the task, what are the steps, pros and cons, which is something
Mhm.
very important. We have to be evaluating the pros and cons because it seems like everybody just want to get rich. But when you're getting rich, what are you doing for the people again? Right? What are you doing for your community? Because at the end of the day, when we are saying giving back to the community, we're not saying just giving your money. Maybe you are sponsoring the community center in your neighborhood.
Right.
Maybe the funds are donate it to an orphanage, right? And those are black people there, because at the end of the day, our children are into the system. They are overrepresented in their social systems. So how are we, giving back to the community after being successful black businesses, right? So I think that's one of the issues we have also, because now everybody's talking about support. Yes, buy black, support black businesses, but what are the black businesses giving back to the community beside, promoting, I will say, consumerism? Like, you spend your money on accessories that will not really help us as a race. And again, I'm not saying we shouldn't be selling accessories. I'm saying we have to be able to produce the accessory from start to finish,
Hmm.
right? We shouldn't be just purchasing some made in China. Like even my dashiki, I know it's made in Ghana, but it's from Thailand, brother. You know,
Right.
so we don't start and we don't end. We just go and buy the final product. What are the, I will say, industries in which you think? Oh, again, this is, I'm asking everybody, on
Right.
the panel here. What are some of the industries you guys think we have to put money into that will gradually, again, employ folks and help us being self-sufficient? Because at the end of the day, if the Chinese are still selling us the fruit and vegetable, they can do whatever they want to do with us, right? So,
Hmm.
so yeah, I'm gonna mute myself, brother Kofi.
Well, it's all yours, brother.
Okay, what? I'm sorry. I had to get to work and get my boots and shit on. So, oh, I'm sorry, cursing on your show. What question am I answering?
Okay, it's a very broad theme. So, brother, I will ask you one question, and then based on that question and your answer, you can, go on and elaborate. So, what are some of the weaknesses we have as a group of people, and what are some of the strengths? I know you're shaking your head already. There's so many to list, so many pathologies, but pinpoint one or two, try to elaborate on it, and then go on to two of the maybe strengths that you feel like we have as a group of people.
So I'll start with the weakness, I guess. I think one of our biggest weaknesses is we, from my perspective, we really seem to underestimate the forces that we deal with. Like other groups of people. It could be the Asian groups, the Chinese, the Koreans, whichever group, the Japanese, um, Mexicans, uh, racially ambiguous groups that kind of just like pour into black populations and gain power or gain influence and just have us doing all kind of crazy things. Um, yeah, we really underestimate other people. You know, I mean, if you look, I always like to make this example. If you look at everything that these other folks, it might not be impressive to anybody else, but this takes a lot of manpower to do stuff like this. You don't just get this kind of stuff laying around. You know what I mean? Africans, we might not be impressed with this kind of stuff, all this glass and concrete, steel and iron, all these lights, but this is the world that we got to live in. We got to work in this stuff. So that's one of the weaknesses, and I think another weakness is our inability to just say, "Look, we're gonna appoint people to solve problems for us." Like we have very intelligent people that can get the listen. I am not a doctor. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect. We have those people instead of us, bickering. We need to do what other people do because if I'm not mistaken, other people like the Chinese, they say I know a guy that can build this rocket that we're trying to build. Go get him. Bring him here. He's gonna build this rocket. And when the guy says, "Well, what's in it for me?" He said, "Look, we'll make you a very rich person, or this is for your country. This is gonna grow our economy. This is gonna put us on the map. We're gonna be a superpower." This guy says, "Hey, all right, cool. I might even take a pay cut." They have that kind of nationalistic patriotism. Um, so yeah, those two things. I hope I'm not exhausting
No, no,
my
brother,
answer.
brother Kofi. Sorry, I want you to say to again, elaborate on, on something that you said just right now. You spoke about patriotism,
Yes.
right? So just briefly, and I know everybody now, we all talk about Chinese, Chinese, Chinese. But something we often forget is that Mao, despite that the Western media portrayed him as an evil guy and everything, despite his, I would say, dictatorship, Mao put the Chinese mindset into the Chinaman. You're Chinese before everything and after everything. So that self-pride in being Chinese, it's something I think we're lacking, because you spoke about patriotism, and it's the mother, how they call it, the motherland. China is the motherland, and every Asian has the same, I will say, way of thinking, right? So, brother, when it comes to patriotism or race pride, what's the issue you feel, or you feel like we're still ashamed of being black, or what's the issue? What, like, I would like you to elaborate on that specific part of patriotism or race pride.
Well, again, this is just how I see it. Um, Man, I've had arguments with people. They'll say, "You're an African American. You've never been to Africa, and you wouldn't know pride. You got your own thing going on over there. You don't speak a language." That's all of that stuff is true, but the thing is, um, what comes to mind when you say Ghana? What comes to mind when you say Nigeria, South Africa? Problems, issues, dysfunction. So when people say things like, "I have pride in my country," like I celebrate independence. The independence movement didn't really yield too much in the way of development. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about patriotism, pride in being an African person, is usually just superficial. Oh, I love my skin. I love my hair. I love my hair texture. I love the fact that I can stand out in the sun and I'm not going to get sick. Um, the food that we eat, and I feel the same way. But you know how bad you have to feel when someone says, "Why don't you just go back to your country and develop it?" And then you sit there and you say, "Well, how much money have I dumped into any development of any type in any African country?" And how many groups of black men specifically can say that same thing? Even the conversation, even the conversation needs to be had amongst black African men. Like, are instead of just throwing money at an issue, are we sitting down and saying what needs to be done for our home country, even if you don't live there yet? You need to say at some point, "Hey, I don't want to build anything here. You know, I don't want to add to this stuff. You already got people that's adding to this stuff. I don't want to add to it because it's not mine." Ultimately, you might have your name on the inside of the Madison Square Garden, but it doesn't do anything for you, and it doesn't do anything for anyone back home. Even if it was to generate money, this money still has to do something. It has to develop something, and that's the problem. The race pride thing only comes into question when you like how you look, you like how you dress, you like how you speak. The way that we have this certain rhythm to ourselves, and that's the pride part. Everything else is kind of just like, oh well, yeah, I haven't built a house in Ghana just yet. I plan on it at some point. I'm guilty of it. I'm definitely guilty of that. So
Yeah.
that's a blow to your ego when someone says, "Your name's Kofi, huh? You were born in Brooklyn. When are you gonna develop some real estate or something in Ghana? When are you gonna teach people the Ghanaian languages or something like that?" It's just like, all right, good point. It's a good point.
But sorry, brother, let me say something because again, we're in the diaspora, and I feel like I sometimes, you know, I would say I'm guilty, saying sometimes to people, listen, you're from the West, you don't know anything about Africa, right? But again, there are people within those people that I cannot say those things to because here's the thing. If you follow me, you know who's my favorite leader. He never went to Africa, but he gave the race pride to some of the African leaders. So I feel like the question is not if you were born on the continent, is do you understand the issues? If you see yourself as a black person, of course, Africa is not going to be able to develop itself with continental African. I keep saying this. The African American or the African living in the West are the reason why we still have Pan Africanism and people are talking about race pride. If it wasn't because of even if the movement is weak here in North America, the race pride is one of the has the highest rate. Because if you interact with Africans from Europe, you will kill yourself the following day. Truly and really, when it comes to race issues, they don't see issues with mixing with other folks, for instance. For them, that's not a big issue. And they will tell you straight up, right? But when it comes to African American, you see there are even pages that only promote black love for a reason, for a specific reason. There are pages that cannot stand the fact that white people are going to Africa and develop in Africa. But the Africans on the continent don't see it as an issue, for instance. So again, I don't want anybody from the West to feel like, you're less African because you were not born there. Trust me, really and really. Something I want you to keep in mind is that the slaves that they took from Africa they were not the weakest. They were the strongest breed of Africans that they brought to the West family. So, you may feel some type of way when folks say things like that, but at the end of the day, there are questions that you can ask them. Like they don't even know the real, and I will say, history of their country, their humanity, independence. I still have brothers and sisters from the continent with whom I argue all the time. Well, it's our flag. I have to represent, but you're still a slave. This is, a colonial enclosure that you're representing. So, without folks from the West, it will be difficult. It's going to be difficult for us on the continent to even educate those people because Pan Africanism, either we like it or not, did not originate in Africa. you know, and Garvey, when he left or traveled all over where Black people were living, why he came and set up in America, despite the fact that at the time Americans or Black Americans were the least to call themselves Africans. They didn't want to do anything with Africa. But when he was able to change their mind, they were the first to say, "Let's go back to Africa." You understand? So there will be no Pan Africanism movement if African Americans were not involved in this movement. Period. You
Um,
know,
when, when
seriously, just
Patrice
so
Lumumba,
yeah. Sorry.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but when Patrice Lumumba was murdered and word got to New York City, a bunch of African Americans went to what is it? The United Nations? Is it some building over here in Manhattan? And they rioted. I'm not talking about Congolese people. I'm talking about Black Americans, African Americans went to this whatever. I think it's the United Nations. I think it's some building. I forget what the exact name of the building is, but it's near this museum, African Holocaust Museum or something like that. And they rioted. So that and this was the 1960s. So that tells you a lot right there. That we have some cohesion, but I think um, I think we can all agree that cohesion was at a peak Garvey days, and then it rolled a little bit, and then maybe in the mid '60s, late '60s, it kind of just took a nosedive. And we gotta, we have to reconcile with that and say, all right, what happened there? Why are we all calling ourselves um, all kind of stuff? Haitians, the Jamaicans, like having more pride in that stuff and not having pride in just being African first and moving from there.
So family, we know we're not just here to talk. This is not a live where we know we're going just to talk. I'm going to try to summarize what Kofi said for those who are just joining. Well, Kofi spoke about how we underestimate other group of people. Like we look at them, but we don't really try to understand how they get to the next level or what they did or what they. And he also spoke about the effort. Like we don't even take into consideration how much effort we have to put into things, right? But to create structure, for instance. He spoke about having black professionals. We have enough professionals in the community at the end of the day. But again, there is no, I will say, structure or group, or I will say even understanding of our issues for those folks to say, you know what, I think this is one of the things we need in Africa, for instance. We shouldn't be waiting on the Chinaman or the German to build solar panel to give us electricity back home, for instance, right? We have the sun 24/7 from January to December. That should be something we should be thinking about ourselves as African. That's our reality. We have the sun every day. So instead of paying electricity bill, why don't those professionals, for instance, that's just one, example I'm just giving myself. But he spoke about again the lack of patriotism, how people will put like the proud the race pride in front and try to do something for the race as a whole, and instead of just giving money to something, try to also understand why you're giving money to support something or to create, because at the end of the day it's not just go to Ghana, go to Nigeria to build a house. That's not what Pan-Africanism is about, really. If every African Americans or every Africans from the island go to Africa, it doesn't mean that we're going to get power because those people repatriated. If there are no structures, we need structures. We need people to be in places. We need to remove all those elites, the leaders. There's no Pan-African leaders in Africa. Just that's another topic. But there is not one, not one. Maybe the guy that we were talking about, the Tanzanian, but again, it's not somebody that I really, really studied, But at the end of the day, I don't see anybody who is there. There's a guy again, but they're too controversial sometimes, like Julius Malema. I know he's very outspoken, but when you don't have money, you're gonna go and sit down with the Chinese and sign because you need money for your structures. That's another issue. Sorry. So brother Kofi also spoke about the fact that we put too much emphasis on where we from. Oh, I'm from Jamaica. Oh, I'm from Haiti. Oh, I'm from Congo. I'm from Togo. I'm from Benin. I'm from. At the end of the day, you're black. You're African, right? So he also spoke about what was the place you mentioned right now, brother, in New York? For those who are living in
Of
the
the some United Nations building in Manhattan.
and you said it was close to a museum, right?
Yeah, it's the African Holocaust Museum,
Okay, okay.
something like
So
that.
again, okay. So understanding why things just are the way they are today, because we had people who were very strong about Pan-Africanism. He mentioned Garvey, how the movement was at its peak during Garvey, and we're talking about 1920s, where people didn't even want to call themselves Africans. But today, everybody's proud to have kinky hair, yet there is no progress. So I don't know if I'm missing anything, brothers and sisters, that Brother Kofi said, or Brother Kofi, if there's something I'm missing, let me know. You know, and
I just want to add a strength.
yeah, yeah.
I think one of our strengths is just being hard headed enough that even when we feel like there's no hope, you see things every day and you say, uh, like what can you do? And you just say, you know what, I'm here. I know a person over there. I know it's at least five people maybe I can spread this mentality. Because I mean, if it's 2021, you know, I think if we were weak, just absolutely weak and just spineless, gutless, I think we would have just given up a long time ago and just stopped even talking about it. So I think that's one of our strengths. Like we produce a few thousand of us every generation. It's just like, what's going on? No, this can't. No, we can't have this going on.
Yeah, thank you, brother. That literally put a smile on my face for the two people that I spoke to today. If you're here, you know, brother, I truly sometimes feel hopeless, but it's true. We have some resilient people among these. You know, it's just that they don't have the platform that other intelligent folks have. You know, because that's something I often mention when I speak with brothers and sisters. I said, you know, when I look at IG, because 10 years ago or 11 years ago there were no Instagram. You know, people were on Facebook, and you know, Facebook is, don't want to even talk about this, but when the black people started creating those Pan-African pages, you see, or you can still feel how people are trying to acquire knowledge. I remember purchasing some of the books that we often talk about, Destruction of Black Civilization, for 12 bucks or 11 bucks. Now go check those books, right? It's 20 bucks and all that. So people are really working up. That's true. We have, you know, some people who are very resilient and radical. And I feel, maybe I'm wrong, that we have over 100,000 African conscious people on Instagram. Because when I look at those so-called, I know, again, I don't call them really Pan-African pages, but there are pages that they have 3K, 300K, 300,000 followers, and they only speak for black people, supposedly. So if you have maybe 200,000 followers, maybe I will say 100 are blacks, purely black, and the remaining one are mixed or white or whatever. But at least that's 100, and then you have at least 10 or 20 of those pages, right? So we still have people, but I think we just have to find structures again, reorganizing everything, trying to find how can we actually reach out to those people. Sometimes I feel like maybe we should be acting like the Moors and the Hebrews at the corner, truly and really, because that's something that Garvey was doing when he came to America. But you have to be, you know, gentle with them. You can't just, you know, I don't know. That's just. Anyways, Sister Joelle, welcome, welcome.
Hi, hello. Can you guys hear me? Okay. We were talking about our weaknesses, and I think we kind of brought it up in the comments where we mentioned about the ego and the lack of discipline, accountability. And this is something that I personally know that I try on my just regular life to practice, because I'm like, if I'm going to speak on it, I have to live it. So, and I feel like with our people, if, for example, I am making a point or post about accountability and ego, people will engage with it. But I don't think they realize that it's not just the person that we are talking about. It also applies to our individual. Like, you have to start within your house and then expand to your neighbor and just kind of grow and grow and grow. I have a cousin who constantly tells us that our house is like a government, and we have to understand everyone plays a part. And if one is not doing, then we kind of are losing ourselves in that way. So I keep the mindset. And this is the reason why I always tell people, like, you have to invest in children. You have to be that example. You have to walk what you're talking. You can just keep sitting here making me post or engage in conversation or argument or debate, or, you know, or if you were sending us to, like, go read this book, I read this book, but then you're not living exactly what you're preaching. I think that becomes part of our weakness. Like we said, we have our people who have ego and they want instant gratification, right? You want to read Distraction of Black Civilization, and tomorrow you want to be Marcus Garvey. It's not going to work like that. You Sacrifices have to be made. We are not the one that's going to see that generation. It's not going to happen. We are not the one that's going to benefit from the seed that hopefully we'll be able to plant. We will not be the one. We can clear the way. We can pinpoint we can put light on what the problem is so that the next generation can kind of see already instead of just going blind like we were led blind into. We talked about the flags, into independence. We were just going with the motion. Nobody knew what it was, especially for us who were born in a continent. Oh, you're just like, yeah, we are free. Who's like, where's the freedom? But that's how we were raised. Like, we were free of the Belgium in 1961, but yet they create our school curriculum where there is no patriotism whatsoever. This is why, if you are born outside of the continent and you see continental people who don't know how to connect with their own country, it is very much possible because it's an indoctrination that you have. By the time you're born, I went to school where I learned more about Europe and America than I did about the continent. And this was a private school, like the best school. There are textbooks that my mother used in school that are still in school today. My mom is 67. Those are textbooks that the Belgian brought home. So there's nothing in it that's improving. Nothing is changing. Like, they're really learning like it's 1961. So our weakness is that we don't consider the younger generation as people unless we need them to do something.
Please, 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 you're making so much sense right now. I just want to say something again. Earlier, you said again, family. If I have to repeat, because people are saying a lot of stuff that are for me pertinent. We have to be taking notes. So I'm trying to summarize what every guest is saying. So Sister Joelle spoke about something that made me smile earlier when she said their house is like a government. In one of the tribe that I'm from, I don't like using the word tribe, you guys know, but we said the family is the first government. You have, if again the spiritual system is where God is a male and female, then in that family mama and papa are God. They are the balance. The children, the eldest, does this. He's responsible for the finances at one point once mama or papa taught that person how to count and whatever. The other person is responsible for this, and so on and so forth. That's how you see some of those big dynasties like the Yoruba dynasties built by women, the Wolof dynasties built by women. Some of the richest Africans tribes are matriarchal. How you call it? They have a matriarchal system, right, where the woman is responsible for the finance, right? So again, family is the first government. That's why I often tell my younger brothers and sisters, listen, don't just say you want to marry somebody because you fall in love with that person. No, marriage is political. It's political. Okay. And then she also spoke about how we have to be able to identify, and goes back to something that I said earlier. We have to identify the issues now, we, this group of African people, so that the generation after us, they know the issues. Okay, now we have to work on those things because the issue has are been identified already. But we still here, we don't know like what to do, like what's next to do. And again, I'm going to go back to what Brother Kofi said earlier. We have professionals, so many talented Black people. Why are we not able to create our own structures or our own everything like the Chinese? If it took them 30 years, why is it taking so long for us? Right? So you spoke about the education system as well, the curriculum that hasn't changed since 1960s or the 1950s. And one thing that you also mentioned that a lot of brothers and sisters from the diaspora don't know is that it's true. The RBG flag or the Pan-African flag, if you take 100 Africans today, I bet you that 80% of that number won't know what the Pan-African flag represent. They may have heard about somebody called Marcus Garvey, but for them, maybe he was a preacher because that's how they introduced Marcus Garvey to you. He was somebody from a church who had a vision saying black they have to go back to Africa. That's how they introduced Marcus Garvey in the program back home. until you start, researching by yourself and on yourself, and you realize that then that guy wasn't a preacher. He was on all fronts. So again, instead of sacrificing, I will say, the next generation, we have to include them in the construction of our nation. If I hope what I said is no, I was able to summarize what some of the things you said, beloved. So I think you wanted to go on the issue, strength, or was it an
Okay, so when they come to strengths, um, like the brothers say, we organize to have a good time. But the good time that we're having is not the good time as like an African good time. We are pretending to have a good time as a rebuttal to what white supremacy don't want us to do, right? So thank God it's Friday and you go out and party with your friends, you go on vacation, you go drunk and blah, blah, blah. But then on Monday, you are back into the oppression. You didn't run away from it. So we are doing this hamster in a wheel. We're just running around, running around. And what is the result? Nothing, right? After doing that for 25 years, you're like, I'm so tired. I want to go retire in Africa. You cannot go retire on a land that you have not put a seed on. It is impossible because everybody that we're seeing who's going home, I'm speaking because I have a personal experience having a big family. You see the good and the bad. So watching the people who want to go back home from whichever part of the outside of Africa they're coming from, they come with the same mindset. Whether they come from Europe, Australia, uh, America, or whatever, it's the same mindset. I want to go home and build a giant house where I'm going to have my AC and have a gate man. Literally, that's the plan. They are so predictable, it's sad. I've seen this so many times over and over again. We go home to gentrify our own neighborhood. We go home to oppress our own people. We go home to reinforce servitude. We go home to continue to support these useless government. We go home not to infuse or add anything that we learn. We go home to create businesses where only me, I'm going to profit. Just me. Everybody has worked for me. I'm the only one profiting because over there, I'm in charge. I'm the CEO. Over here, you're a worker. So you take the Jeff Bezos mindset, you go home and you want to outdo him by using your own people. There's so many people who are doing that. So many. It's sad to watch because you want to overwork your own African people so you can be in Forbes magazine as the next billionaire. How do you sleep at night? How does that work for you? You have to be out of your mind to think that that's normal and that's okay. So we can get people together. People back home, there are people who are willing and waiting for you to show up and assist them or support them in whatever is that is needed. But we go home with the white man mindset to take advantage of our own people. That's why
don't
they
don't don't, don't go any further. I just want to again put emphasize on what you just said. And it's sad again, Brother Kofi or anybody, Brother Manasseh, all the brothers and sisters who are here, who are not, sorry, Brother Brother Kofi, you're here actually. Brother JC, Brother JC, Sister Aisha, everybody who's here now, we spoke about a few things. Briefly, I want to say this. Uh, we have to stop, being tribalistic. I'm from Africa. I was born in Africa. You from America, or you're from Haiti, you're from Jamaica, we're not the same. We have to start with that crap. We spoke about that. It's Pan-Africanism about everything. We spoke about the fact that yes, certain continental African may say to other Africans from the diaspora that you're not from Africa, you don't know our issues. The reality is most continental Africans don't know their issue either. So why am I saying this? Because that brings me directly to what Sister Joel has said. You have, let's say, I've been joining a lot of lives lately, but in the Francophone community, and you realize that actually African from the West who never been to Africa know more about how to develop certain things than Africans who were born on the continent because they don't know their issues. So here's the thing: you have a curriculum, like the sister mentioned, which is European curriculum. They, I will say, rate your intelligence based on the mark that you're getting on your diplomas. And then once you got that, you feel like you're better than others, especially if you are living abroad. So when you come back home, what you're doing in the village where people have been, I don't know, planting or growing food, you want to buy everything and I build a mansion, cut the road in two. So make the village, now take a detour, things of that nature. But who's going to build those roads? The same people who look like you, that you're not going to overpay. You're going to underpay them. Because if you go on the continent right now, you will see workers willing to work for Chinese, white people instead of their own because the black men don't pay them well. And you make them work twice. So literally what the sister said was we are becoming our own oppressors. We are becoming the new colonizers, literally. And that's something that I think has to be discussed on a different, live or whatever. But that's something that's really, it's really happening right now as we speak, right? And we're not talking about like, the comment that I posted like in Liberia, when we have, I would say, black from the West going, no, now it's continental African who have been born and raised in Europe or in America who are coming back home and doing the same thing, and sometimes even worse, right? They rather have, I will say, right hand man who is Chinese, white man, as opposed to having one of theirs. So again, the new oppressors are not always white, yellow, or brown. They can be black just like you. So again, yeah, sister, I hope you didn't forget what you wanted to say, but I just wanted to, put emphasis on this.
Yes, my last point is just that as far as like Africans who are born outside of the continent, or you've been in America for like generation, if you encounter our continental people our immigrant people who tell you like you are not African, I really wish that we didn't have to engage into this conversation because it kind of consumes your energy and your time if you care about that continent, because that person does not care about that continent more than you. I promise you that. They just want to derail you from what your conversation is. Or
Please repeat that. Please repeat that. That's a very good point, beloved. And I really want you to repeat the fact that you say that Africans in the West love Africa more than continental Africa, which is true. Not all, I will say, African from the West, but when they do love Africa, they love Africa with their heart. So I would like you to, to repeat this again for those who are actually working, even if they've never been to Africa, they're trying to work with the Pan African organization to better our condition, right? So those people actually care about Africans in Africa more
right
than right. Yeah.
now, I made the decision to never argue or debate because it wasn't going anywhere, because it got to the point where I had to discern and figure out where is my argument going to better me or the person. If it's not working, it's not doing that. So if you are, I'm gonna say, African American who cares about the continent, you come across an African born immigrant first generation who constantly, the first thing that they tell you because you want to see a better Africa is that you don't know where you're from. You should, one, they don't understand migration, because 9 times out of 10, whatever nation they're located in is not where their people actually come from. That's a possibility. That's one. Two, 9 times out of 10, they have few traditional understanding of their own traditions. So you might not have a lot, you might not be connected directly like some of us are, but that does not make you less, because that's also your home. Now, we have those who are completely airheads. We get that. We have that on both ends. But don't get discouraged when you come across that, because like the brother said, they don't care about the continent more than you do, even if you haven't been there. Because you are willing to learn and understand what you need to do. They have access to it and they refuse to learn and understand what needs to be done. They make a choice not to worry or care about that. So that puts you a little bit ahead of who they are. So again, please don't argue your identity with another Black person if you care about that continent. You're doing your work, you're doing your research. Don't entertain that. It will save you a lot of time and energy, and you are going to come across Africans who are willing to work with you rather than constantly have to prove to yourself to multiple people for what reason I don't know. Because this farther this division that just keep going, this division that has no direction, like where we're so divided to go where, we're not winning on any side, but for some reason we are okay being divided. And we can end that, but we have to do the work. So we're going to invest in our children, we're going to invest in ourselves, we're going to practice whatever daily discipline. You will find we connect to these internet, we have these social media for a reason. None of you have met in person. You're all here, you know, and we've been sharing this information for years. Easily we can end up in the same place and build something. It doesn't require, like, we don't have to be genius to do something. We can start, I don't know, put a bean on the ground, watch it grow. We can start like really tiny and small. We have a business home, my sister and I, and we had to reset our mindset of business from the West in order to work at home, because the mindset here is anti-African of business. Having a meeting with the people that we work with and letting them know what we're expecting and how the hours, the time, the pay, it's something new for them. And they didn't understand that. So when we bring this idea to other people from the diaspora or our friends and family, how the business structure is, 9 times out of 10, they tell us that we're going to fail. They don't understand why we will pay our people every 2 weeks, why they can only work from like 9 to 4, why we're looking for insurance for them, why it's okay for them to take a day off. Why they don't get that. They want you to overwork your own people so you can move faster up whatever chain. Classism is like the worst thing back home. Capitalism is eating the continent. Socialism, it's crazy. So prepare yourself when you go home. You will encounter this, but it doesn't mean you can't do anything. There's hope.
Okay, so beloved, I'm trying to wrap up because I know we have two other guests, but I'm gonna go again back to what the sister said. Everything has to be actually recreated. Basically, the mindset have to be reset completely. We have to be able to sit with our children. And when we talk about children, we're not talking about biological children specifically. We're talking about the younger generation of African people and include them in the revolution. They will see things that we are not able to see, even as intelligent as we are today. There are things that they will be questioned because they don't understand what you're saying, and those questions may make you question your own way of thinking because you don't have the answers. Because kids, you cannot tell them something too complex. You have to, drop it down for them. So if you cannot explain something basically to a child, it means that it makes no sense, right? So the sister also mentioned about so we talk about how we have to I will say educate people back home when it comes to work. You don't have to overwork yourself for your boss. You're not a slave anymore. But again, they don't know that. They don't know they're the slave. They say, no, when I go to work, well, I have to serve until, but you're not even enjoying. What are you working for? Is to take I don't know, rest sometime, enjoy yourself. But if you're not able, if you have been working like a slave and now you're sick, what's next? All the money that you saved, you're going to spend it at a hospital, and there's no hospital by the way, but that's another debate. So, brother Rocky, welcome. Quickly, one strength or two strength, weaknesses, what can be done. I know we spoke a lot about our issues, and of course solution will be have been provided. If you're taking notes, great. You can always go back and watch the video, but the goal is to really identify our issues, and some of our strengths. So, brother Rocky, go ahead.
Are you on mute, brother?
Thank you, thank you. How you guys doing? One big strength, I think, has been referred already, but I think it deserves another mention, which is simply the African American. Like you said, brother, me, I always say to you that I'm always decolonizing my mind because until very recently, I had this whole um Africa idea, like identity, right? And not only to say I'm African because I was born there or anything, like even though the culture is there, yeah, but there is more. And I've been in Europe, but only here in America, I've I've found it like this on this version, like I could say stuck in time, right? Stuck in time, like a philosophy that like got stuck here, right? It might be in Bahia too, but I don't know. But in no other places I've seen it like this. Even though is it might be dormant, but it's still like it's different from anything I've seen. So I think that in terms of what an African needs, a lot of that, and that is strength. I believe that and you know what's funny? As an African, every time we are projected what an African American is always something bad. Is always something, but that this side of it, like the regular man, right? The regular African man, right? Forget that he's has an identity as an African American. The regular black man that's here, right? Just like in Africa, right? It's like you don't see him. You see him as a celebrity, a rapper, never the regular guy, right? Never the regular man, like the brother right here on the video that that does his work, the sisters. You never project them like that. You always see them as oh they living better than us. And I don't know how, but it creates a certain distance between us, and we need to get closer. And that's essentially what I think what we Africans here should do: get closer, understand them better. Why do the things if they acting more uh revolting against certain rules of this society. I mean, me when I look at it, when I look at it and I study it, I say there's reasons to do it because the treatment here is being savage. A man can you can't live here and just act normal. You have to wild out some way because the things you see, if you say that's normal, I don't know where that will lead you as a human being. That's not normal to see the things we see here. It's just not normal. And I've lived here only a few years, and sometimes it's just so much that I tell my brothers, I don't know how you've been living here for all this time with this situation. I really don't. It's you stop breathing because it's so much. You stop want to watch things because you don't want to feel this way. And so but he has survived all this year. The strength that takes, right, to keep going with this knowledge is something that we Africans need, especially to separate us from our I want to be an European, just to be us.
Brother,
A
that's
weakness.
no, sorry, before you go to the weakness, man, I truly felt what you said, brother. And I have to, again, say something about it because I wasn't raised in North America. I'm not living in America. I'm living in North America, Canada. But again, Canada is no different from from America. The only difference is that the cops are not killing black people like the way they kill black people, but the system is the same. It is the same.
Mhm.
I lived all my life in Europe. It took me to come to this place or this part of the world to understand that this place is crazy. This place is not meant for us, truly and
Mm-hmm.
really, truly and really. On I can't even think about one thing now because everything is against us. It's everything here is anti-African, anti-blackness, everything, even some of the
My volume is bad.
softest, or I will say, stupid ad you've seen on TV is anti-African. Most of the thing that we see that as of just basic jokes or stupid jokes are anti-African. African. So, brother, I still there? Okay. Well, before he comes back, brother Makori, I hope you pronouncing your name right.
Yes, thank you, brother. Just kind of building on the comments made before myself. I think there was a reference to intimacy, or rebuilding intimacy, and I just think about, like, if we think about where we are now, as individuals, the knowledge or the consciousness, however you frame it, like, what does this mean, or what this could have meant for us if you were introduced to it at an earlier point, in life, at age 6 or 7 or 5 or 3, or in the womb. And so, to some of the sentiments or points shared tonight, like, how best can we connect the young people or connect the youth, across these spaces in Canada or US, on the continent, like ways that we can use critical literacy, a film or other forms of communication, because this is, at the root, is communication too, and so how best can we use these channels? And I think about, Brother Amos, Dr. Amos's work, like, as it sits right now, it's not consumable for someone that's 12 years old or 10 years old, but it could be, and so what ways? I think there's one book about, that I think that was inspired by Dr. Marimba Ani's work. That's it's a coloring book now, or a children's book. I have it for my daughter. So, in what ways can we take the brilliant works that came before us, that are timeless, and reduce them in ways that we can design curriculum and a pedagogy for the children, and in a way that transcends, like, these languages, whether it's French or, Portuguese or English, and also centers, African indigenous languages too. I think that, I think that's, if there's something to move forward with, like, what's going to be like, our working group, or if there's a working group to create something that's tangible that can be delivered or presented in a way, to kind of organize and learn from each other, learn from the youth, learn from those that came before us, so we can begin to implement and refine and re-implement again. So now, and I've seen this done in some ways. I'm from New Orleans, and so in years past, we've made connections as it relates to New Orleans, and the connection to Haiti, and Haitian Revolution, and the 1811 revolt in New Orleans, to kind of, like, bring young people together. And the young people in Haiti actually knew more about New Orleans and resistance and Louisiana Purchase than the young people in New Orleans knew about Haiti. So, what does that look like, and how best can we organize ourselves around that?
Brother Makori, just you mentioned something, and I really want to again put emphasis on that. Is I would say the route that we will have to utilize to convey certain messages that are a bit too heavy for the younger generation. And I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Amos, because this is something I'm trying to do actually, is to create cartoons, where we have, certain things said. And one of the topic that I really, or the book I really wanted to start with, was destruction of Black civilization. Why? Because Sister Joel mentioned something, but that would be a whole different live, you know. Uh, yeah, the migration, because again, we have issues on the continent related to tribalism. Everybody's proud to be a tribe, not knowing that we are not as many tribe. I don't know, 400 years ago or 600 years ago. A lot of continental Africans cannot tell you, well, I think my people migrate. No, they won't be able to tell you. They will tell you, I'm Congolese, I'm Cameroonian, but they forgot that they fall under the umbrella of Bantu. And there was actually a Bantu migration 15,000 years ago, or 15,000 years BC. Some people say 15,000, some people say 3,000, but there was a huge Bantu migration, right? So those people was at one point one entity. And then now, if you look at the Bantu, it's over, I think, 8 to 700 tribes. If you take the Bantu from Congo, Central Africa, Gabon, how you call that place, Cameroon, everybody goes with their tribes, but they didn't know, or they don't know that there was, again, so it's up to, you mentioned the platform, like how can we convey the message? And I think it's very important that we should be thinking about these, at least this is a very important topic. How can we relay the information, those deep information, or those, I would say, heavy lectures from Dr. Amos to the next generation? Because for them, or it would be too difficult, like you said, to just go on YouTube and start watching. Somebody who's 9 or 12 years old, it's not going to be able to take in everything that Dr. Amos is saying. So how can we, I will say, simplify it without really diluting the message, right? So, brothers and sisters, I truly, really need your input, not now, but think about it. You know, you can always message me. I'm open to anything. We definitely need a way to convey the message and make it stick. You know, they know, okay, I heard this, and this will help us really build the race pride, or the patriotism that Brother Kofi spoke about. So, great insight, brother. Honestly, anything else, brother Macquarie?
No, only thing I would add is that I know that Sister Joelle made the comment that we've all been, in some ways, shape, or form, influenced by each other through social media. But I did have the privilege of meeting Brother Kofi in Brooklyn, I think in 2014. So know that we made, we do have some direct linkages, and we both. I'm speaking for myself, but I know that we both have had direct, conversations with Brother Sababu, and it's been very, very encouraging to have that. I mean, he can speak better than I can, but I know for me it's grounding just to be able to at least check in with the brother and get the Jews from him. I spoke with him a couple of days ago, as well. So I think that I'm familiar with at least the four of you, through Instagram and all of our ins and outs with that platform or join or whatever as a medium to communicate. But just want to give you honor and respect and salute just for moving out to create this space to at least to engage us and host us in this medium.
Welcome, no, welcome, brother. Again, welcome to this. I will say space. I never interacted with you, but I really, really, really like what you said. Brother Mike, you've been commenting. I want to see your face, man. Anyways, but yeah, I really, love what you just said, brother. And family, if you have teams, if you have questions, anything that you feel like we need to talk about.
Can I add something?
Yes, of course, beloved. Yes.
Okay, on the point that the brother made about how we can translate these big books into something for children to understand and start learning very early. Um, it is hard because Amos was speaking to adults. I think when he was writing his books in his head, it was like these parents who teach their kids, but we are not there. Um, this is the part that kind of brings back to what Brother Kofi said. We have people that are talented, But like I mentioned, they're not willing to make that sacrifices because oftentimes we see the memes and the hashtags where my work is not for free and this and this and that. Yeah, your work is not for free in the white man's eyes. But when you're working for your people, sacrifices will have to be made. We have people that are talented to make cartoons. We have teachers who happen to be African who can bring this down to the psychology level of a child. We have psychologists, we have therapists, they can do that part. But it's like we're being forced to kind of, you feel like you have to do all the work because they have a full schedule, they have a full plate, they have their time already planned out, which is sad because then your people don't fit in that plan.
But let me ask you a question. When you say they have, let's say they have a very busy schedule, right? So they can't volunteer for the people. How about the other race? How are they doing it? Because the Jews have
That's
time
what
to
I'm
volunteer
saying.
in the community centers, right? The
Right.
Chinese have time to go and build their Confucius centers and then have people working in them or volunteer. So what's our excuses? Because again, I know a lot of people say, oh, I have a tight schedule. But at the end of the day, sacrifice will have, like, we will have to make sacrifice, family. So
I
how can
think
we?
when you say sacrifice, people think like we got to do it.
Jesus has died. You have to kill yourself sometime.
I think that's what they think that is because I feel like this one is a sacrifice. Like we've been here for an hour and a half, like just exchanging. Everybody has, you have something to do. It's literally a weekday. It's not the weekend, right? Everybody has something to do. Somebody's gonna wake up tomorrow, go to work at 5, and I'm sure Kofi's at work, you know. And but you're making that a thing. This is what I'm saying. You have to practice small within your daily life, so that when it comes to taking the big sacrifice moment, it doesn't seem like such a burden. Like this is going to tear me apart, or anything like that. So we have people that can do the cartoons. We have people who talk all day on the internet. So yeah, they can be the voice or the radio or the visual artist who can create something for not just the children, for the people back home to get in touch with it. But we don't want that. We want the shade room. We want TMZ. We complain about CNN, but then we don't want to do anything about it. So it's like, do we really want to do that or not? Or a white man is too great to compete with, but then we are the greatest race, we said, but we're not doing the work to be up here.
If I may, but I think that with those of us on the call tonight, at minimum, we know three people, three families, or five families, or seven families that if we in earnest organize ourselves to create, whether it's a curriculum or a module, whatever you want to call it, as a starting point, and say, okay, we put this working on the front end, so now we're asking in return from the work and our demonstration of goodwill, and they can verify it as they wish. The first month or however you want to look at it, this is on the strength. Beyond this is what we're asking to sustain it, and then there's transparency in terms of how the resources that are generated, through such a outfit or a pilot, whatever you want to call it, can be shown to be reinvested to expand it. At some point we got to, we just got to start somewhere. And so as far as with literacy, I think we all know that through literacy and critical literacy and being taught how to reanalyze, break things down, that's key because that's tied to that's tied to coping mechanisms, that's tied to critically analyzing, that's inference, so forth and so on. And that's the main thing that we know that our youth are not receiving through their systems, and whatever this pan scam demic, whatever all of that it is. I think there's still a window where a large part of our parents are still figuring out how to work with their children at home, with this school thing being sort of in flux, with their children not being in school all day, or at least they're more like, open to this idea of something else being better than what's out there right now. It's just we just don't have anything right now that's. I mean, I wouldn't say we won't have anything. There are many. I think there are plenty of groups doing good work. But I think we have people that we know within our realm of reach, and in the same way that brother, you're able to organize or connect us, and Kofi's done. You all have all done groups where we have a few people on there on a call, but it's like, okay, what's the organizing steps moving forward? And it, maybe it's not a thing where we can do it on a social thing to figure that out. you
No,
know,
no, no,
let's
no.
take
But
some of the other
you
personal.
made some very great point here. There are a few people here actually in the chat who are part of the same organization, or some, because I'm part of a few different organizations. I have my own, of course, two that I created, and I'm part of a few other organizations. Again, things are being done truly and really, but at the end of the day, you see what you mentioned, for instance, creating a curriculum. This is something I'm working on with a group called Africa Bevio, right? But so we come up with the idea of having an e-learning website. Brother Kofi, again, I'm gonna go take Brother Kofi's line. We have professionals that we were able to find, even people willing to do everything from scratch from Kenya, but there was not one time anybody mentioned, you know what, since it's something that you guys want to do for African people, is going to be half cost, or we're going to give you a discount. No, they literally just, smashed the bill. And when we're comparing the thing, it's a bit cheaper than the regular thing, but it's not the sacrifice for the race. We are paying them for their work, right? So it's taking longer. And the other thing also, the reason why we are not ready to launch the website or even start creating it is because you don't want to create something, start paying for hosting and everything, and you don't have even the volunteer to go and upload the curriculum or the courses, right? So that's another thing, because working with people within organization, some at the beginning people are very, eager to do things, and then since I think there is no instant gratification, people get tired, of, being on the call or reading books or whatever the case might be. Again, that's where I need people to, come up and say, you know what, brother Aveno, maybe we should just play music sometimes when we have our call meetings, instead of, reading stuff or watching Dr. Amos videos or whatever. Or maybe, I don't know, but we have to be able to keep our people focused on the subject matter. And that's, what I mean. So we have the people again, but we don't have, I will say, people willing to. I sorry, I was just reading Mike's comment in the thing. But yeah, so we have people, we have professionals, we have talented Black people. Now, how can we instill the love of the race to those people, so that maybe if they're charging us to draw, I don't know, one cartoon, because when I was looking for artists last time, people were telling me that for just one figure or character, it's 150. No, no, no discount. And I was asking for 12. So imagine, right? And those are African centered people giving me those prices. But again, that's their job. I cannot go and start arguing. I'm like, okay, no, my budget is not, it's not meant for, and then somebody came, by the grace of the universe, somebody came and said, brother, I know you want to do this for the race. I don't know the project, but if you can tell me about the project, I'm willing to work with you. Just give me whatever you can. And that's what we're doing right now. So we need those type of people. We don't have enough of those people in the community, or maybe I don't know them. So maybe the task here should be to, you know, share this live with somebody, or talk about the thing that we spoke today, because I don't want us to just be here and have another live. After the live is done, what are we doing?
Yeah.
After we shut down this camera, what's next? Okay, what can I think of? Even if it's something I can spend my weekend on, or maybe 1 hour every week, or maybe 1 hour every month. If you're consistent, after 6 months, I'm sure you should be able to come up with a little curriculum for maybe the first semester or something of that nature, right? You don't have to do everything at once. That's how I organize myself, honestly. And people ask me about, how do you manage so many things? I said, you know what? There are days I just do 30 minutes of this, 20 minutes of this, and so on and so forth. But if you want to do it last minute, you're going to be overwhelmed. especially if you have a lot of things to do, right? So once a month, spend 1 hour. Maybe there's one specific lecture of Dr. Amos that you feel or you think or know that it must be included in the African curriculum. Try to, summarize it, create I don't know, something attractive like a PowerPoint presentation, very attractive with, pictures maybe or things and the quote or whatever for people to follow along. And maybe gradually we will get better, on how to even, I will say, convey the information, or even what channel or what route or what platform we should utilize to, what I mean, give or make the knowledge accessible for our brothers and sisters. So again, brothers and sisters, I don't want you to just, I'm gonna, end the live unless somebody has something to say. But truly and really, if you have anything, message me on IG, or if you, I don't know, if you're not on IG that much, for we can, whatever needs to be done, we will have to find a solution. And like you said, among those people, we can all go and talk to at least 1, 2, or 3, 4, 5 families and see what we can do together. We have the people. It's not like we don't have the people. We do have those people, right? So it's just a matter of how to, I would say, keep them focused and not entertained but engaged, because I think it's the lack of maybe seeing results that make people within those organizations just being dormant, stagnant, right? Because yes, I know you've been brainstorming, but nothing is coming, so you'll be tired, and you're like, well, you know what? I've done my part. I've been part of this organization for 3 years. We were able to build the library, so I'm done. I've done my, Pan African work, but that work doesn't stop until you're dead, truly and really, right? Once we build one library, we have to be the second one, third one, and so on and so forth. We have to make sure that the books that we have access to, and this is, sorry, and just a quick tangent I'm taking, we don't have access to those books back home, family. All the books that you see, even some of the basic books that you can just go on Amazon. The Structure of Black Civilization, you cannot purchase it in Africa. You have to order it on Amazon France or Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, and there is none. So the book that you guys or us are purchasing, keep in mind that our currency is way higher than the currency folks are utilizing back home. We are purchasing, let's say, that book for 15 bucks. Back home, knowing that 15 bucks I can feed an entire family for 4 days. That book, if somebody want to purchase it from, let's say, Ivory Coast, it's nearly 50 bucks or 60 something bucks with shipping there. You think the guy is going to look at $65 and say, I'm going to purchase the book because he has a whole family to feed? No. And you can't blame those people, right? So it's up to us to do those things. The white man is not going to do it, right? So we have to find a way to be able to purchase those books and ship it, or even create our own printing company. Literally, literally, and all those books that we cannot find anymore, we reprint all those things and make it accessible for every African, no matter where they are located. Those again, that's another idea that I think that we take for granted because we don't know the thing. But yeah, you can just go online and purchase a book here if you need to educate yourself. Back home comes with a lot of sacrifices, right? So we can do those things. I know Brother Kofi is very close to Dr. Amos, publisher, but again, those are things that I think we have to be thinking about. Create. Somebody spoke about capitalism being anti-African, that we have to practice socioeconomics. Dr. Amos spoke about that. Right, in that little book, he spoke about so many things, the falsification of African consciousness, 150 pages, but that book is like a whole dictionary. Everything he touched on is a book by itself,
Yes.
right? So again, up to us to come up with solution and things that we can do gradually. Of course, starting shipping books from here or whatever, opening a printing company is not going to take 6 months. It's going to take longer than that. But are we willing to, work while we are cooking in the kitchen? That's the thing. So again, family, I don't know if anybody has something, Brother Kofi. Last, yeah, okay. Sister Joel, any last word, anything that you feel like people have to take from this life, because we said so many things. If anybody want the note, some of the stuff that have been taken down, let me know. I can send you those things on IG, or you can just come back, and we watch the live. And maybe if there's something that talking to you, take note and let me know if there is a better way to do it. For instance, maybe I'm not doing it properly, or maybe I don't even know how to do it right. So any ideas, brothers and sisters, are welcome. So, Sister Joelle, anything?
Um, I I think that for as far as like a conclusion for me, just for today, it's I feel like we're all saying the same things. We're just coming from different angle, which I think it's like a great moving part of this whole machine. And I'm very big on the investment of the children. So when you talk about books and being illustrated, I've tried to reach out to a few people who claim that they can illustrate things that happen to be Pan African, so they claim, but it doesn't go anywhere. So you just kind of give up on that because you can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. And I don't want something to do the work with feeling that they're being forced. That's not how you work for your community or your people. These are the things that you have to do because you see how beneficial it's going to be, because 100 years from now, this is like it's going to help so many other people. So it's back to school. I had the privilege to have I was in contact with so many children when they were working from home, going to school from home. They were not so happy going back to school as far as like physical school, but you can't really do much because your parents have to say so. um, a lot of our youth had an amazing time being at home, being school from home. And I don't think we are considering that. We are more so considering how did the adults deal with this. We are not looking at how did the children deal with this. They were happy at home. They were in a very comfortable space, and they were not subjected to this big, broad white system that constantly hound them, harass them, and increase the anxiety. Like the brother was here, Rocky was saying how it's insane being here. You in constant go mode, you in constant defense. So I think for them being in a house, for the few that I spoke to, being at home and learning from home in a space where they're comfortable, where they're familiar with, there's a sense of understanding of themselves. But now that they have to go out there, they worry about what they look like because they will be judged. They worry about what they're going to wear today because somebody's going to complain about it. They worry about how they're speaking because it's not proper. So when you leave the house with all those already, you can't perform out there, in the world that's expecting you to be twice as hard or 10 times better. So I don't know. I try to reach out to the parents, but they're like they gotta go to school, but I can't do much about that. But if this was to shut down again because the whole virus, I think we could easily connect with a few youth through this app or anything else so that they can at least express themselves and let us know how they view us and what we are doing. If it's giving them, how is this, what we are doing, affecting their identity? And with that and what we're doing, we can mash it together and kind of see where we need to continue, what we need to reset, and how we can continue to be the wall for them because they're right behind us. So we are in the front line for them. So
No,
that's
I love this idea, like having like a mentoring system online, but it's not really mentoring, but yeah, a place where the youth can come in, I will say, interact with elder folks or elders, share also their day-to-day activities, a place where also we can, work on, I will say, self-development. Because at the end of the day, again, this is something I said, but at the end of the day, we speak a lot about being strong. You got to do this, but we're not really checking. I know Sister Joelle, that's her task. She loves checking on people's mental state or health. This is something that we have to do, not for the elders, but for the kids, our kids. Truly, it's not like how are you performing at school. It's how are you feeling at school. How do you feel about your teachers? Are you happy there? Because we put too much emphasis on the diploma. Go get the education, go find a job. But the person spiritually, the kid, how is the kid performing spiritually? Maybe going to school and being a doctor is not what he want to do or she want to do.
Brother, this just remind me, I don't want to cut you off, but I was talking to one of our youth who's 13, and they haven't been to school in like a year. And they went back to school, and the first thing that happened in the classroom is that they had a chart of, classism, of course, and social status and where you stand. And because she is a young Black woman, she was at the bottom of the chart. And then the white teacher thought that it would be great to do a class presentation so everybody can tell where they stand on the chart. She was the only one on the bottom. So this was the first week of school. This is why when I see people, adult, who are writing like school need to open back up, I'm like, for you, it's beneficial. Them kids are going to be traumatized all over again of something that they really been trying to avoid. They probably didn't even know that it was trauma, but being at home for more than 3 months, you're starting to realize that something, you're doing okay, you are okay, and you're starting to understand. But her telling me that, of course I called the school, but it's just that you were angry because you know what that will do to that child self-esteem in the future when she gets her first job, so now she wants to work up the ladder because nobody wants to be on the bottom. So in her head now, she wants to acquire money because being on the bottom didn't feel so good. First week of school, second day. Yeah.
Okay, so Sister Chamonix, I think it's you. Maybe once the live is done, in the comment section itself, I don't know if it's not otherwise, you can send it to me and then I will add it to the description box once I end the live. But yeah, family, I really want to thank you for your time. I really, really want to thank you for your time. We will be doing this quite often. I have two live, one of the guests will be Brother Kofi. We're going to speak about psychology and the importance of history. There is another one with brother called Brother Mason. He loves plants and everything related to agriculture, and I think it's a field that we are overlooking. We have to be, able to at least feed our people. So this is a very intelligent brother also. So yeah, we want to put PowerPoint presentation, have links so that we just don't talk. And at the end of the day, if everybody want again the minutes, if you feel like it's going to take too much time to go back to the live, especially if the live lasts 2 hours, 4 hours, and things of that nature, don't be shy. Reach out to me on IG. Brother, can you send me the minutes? Or is there a summary of the live? Yes, brother or sister, here's the thing, right? So once again, family, thank you for your time. We will be doing more. All ideas are welcome, suggestions are welcome, family, how you want the channel to progress or whatever the case might be, but we have to be able to create safe space for Black children and Black people in general. Okay, family. So peace, 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 peace. Says well, have yourself a great night. I know we're gonna talk on the other side soon. So peace, family, peace, 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 everybody. Once again, thank you for your time and see you soon. Peace.